Be careful. Finally, God is exposing new baby, open it immediately. From the very first moment this presence entered the world, something shifted in the air. You may not realize it yet, but the silence you've been walking in was waiting for this. Something unseen has just cracked open, and your name is stitched into it with invisible thread. They thought this child would be just another beginning. But this isn't an ordinary birth, this is a divine interruption, a holy reroute of destiny, and you, unknowingly, are at the center of it. You are not just an observer to this unfolding, you are marked, selected, and spiritually tied to what's now being exposed. Everything has been hidden behind layers of smiles and celebration. But under the congratulatory whispers lies a secret that has now reached heaven's desk, and the file has been opened. What was celebrated as a blessing now contains a truth so intense, even the angels are watching with silence. You must not scroll away. You must not miss this moment. This is not a random story, it's your life being stirred, and the revelation is too critical to ignore. The baby being talked about is not just a baby. It's a symbol, a gate, a cover, a code locked inside a human vessel, meant to either protect you or punish you. And depending on what you choose to do next, your entire future timeline will shift dramatically. There are whispers surrounding this child. Whispers not of joy, but of consequence. Someone close to you celebrated this birth not for life, but to bury a truth that would destroy their reputation, and yours if uncovered. God is finally unsealing what was covered in laughter. The truth is this: that baby, that child, was brought into this world to distract, deceive, or deliver. And only one of those paths is linked to you. The person claiming joy around this baby has another side. That side has said things behind your back that would shatter you. But instead of confronting you, they brought forth a distraction to shift the attention away from the damage they've already done. This message is not meant to accuse, it's meant to awaken. To rattle you before the damage gets deeper. To call you back to the divine thread you've been stitched into before it snaps under pressure. A message has already been written about you. It's in the spirit realm, in the very air around this birth. And this message is now activated, that's why you're here reading this. That's why your spirit won't let you skip this. The lies they built were designed to last only until this baby arrived. And now that it has, the timeline has collapsed. This is the exposure point. Do not look away. The one who celebrated this birth the loudest is the one who hid the darkest secret. They pretended that this baby was the beginning of healing. But God saw it, the manipulation, the deceit, the betrayal behind your back, and decided that the season of hidden motives ends tonight. The exposure is not public yet. But it will be. You are being warned before it hits the surface. You're not crazy for feeling tension when you see pictures, when you hear the name, when your body feels tight or uneasy. Your spirit knows. What is unfolding now is supernatural. This is not gossip. This is not drama. This is a divine setup, and you are being told before your peace is hijacked. The smile they gave when they told you the news was not pure. It was rehearsed. Behind the congratulations was fear, fear that you would eventually find out what this child was hiding in plain sight. And now you know. This baby is not the problem, the truth buried beneath it is. And someone is desperately trying to keep your eyes off it. But it's too late. What's been planted in light can no longer be sustained in darkness. They thought you were too distracted. They thought you were too forgiving. But what they didn't see coming was God's decision to reveal this all in your quiet moment, now. And the moment is now, not later. You were chosen to receive this information directly. Not through a friend. Not through a message in passing. Directly. Because your discernment is the only thing powerful enough to prevent what's about to happen. You're not imagining things. You're not overreacting. Your intuition is the voice of divine strategy pulling you away from manipulation and into safety. The person who pretended this child was a miracle knows exactly who they are hiding. DNA means nothing when intention is deception. And someone has used life to cover up the death of truth. Their plan was to remove your voice by creating a new distraction. They didn't want to fight with you anymore, they wanted to erase the battlefield. But you are being handed the sword again, spiritually, to stand in your truth. God didn't allow this revelation just to ruin someone's moment. This was allowed to protect you from stepping into a trap dressed as a celebration. And you still have time to walk away quietly before it pulls you in. This baby is a turning point. Not just for them, but for you. You may be wondering why you were connected to this child in the first place. It's because your name was mentioned long before this child was conceived. You were the topic of conversation when the decision was made. And the decision was not to bring joy, it was to hide pain. You were the threat to the lie. And so a new story was created to drown your truth. But heaven refused to stay silent. This exposure is not vengeance. It's justice. And justice is not always loud, sometimes it arrives as a soft knowing in the middle of the night, or a message that shakes your spine like this one. There are phone calls that will come in the next few days. People will start acting differently. Don't respond with emotion. Respond with awareness. Know that what's being revealed is bigger than any one moment. Someone once told a lie about you, a serious one. And that lie could have cost you everything. So instead of admitting it, they tried to change the narrative completely. This baby was the final chapter of the story they tried to write, a story where you were the villain. But God stepped in, tore the pages, and began writing the real one. You are not the villain. You were the sacrifice. And now, you are the victory. What they tried to cover with this child is coming undone. And no amount of denial can stop what's about to be said. They'll call you jealous. They'll call you bitter. They'll call you cold. But none of those things will be true. They're just scared of what happens when the truth walks in with no shame and no fear. You are that truth. You are the storm that peace finally rides on. And this baby? This baby will grow up not under a lie, but under light, because you chose to protect what was holy, not hide it. From the outside, everything looks normal. But if you look closely, there's a nervous twitch in their smile now. Their hands tremble when your name is mentioned, because they know the truth is no longer hiding. God didn't wait this long to reveal nothing. The exposure was timed perfectly. Heaven let them dig the whole grave of their deception before handing you the torch to see it all clearly. This baby is part of a timeline shift. Someone tried to rewrite fate using bloodlines, distractions, and emotional manipulation. But God is sovereign, and divine truth overrides every human cover-up. You didn't ask for this message. But you were chosen to receive it because you carry enough spiritual maturity to handle it. What's about to unfold will not be light, but you will walk through it in full control. This child's name will be connected to a paper trail. Documents. Signatures. Clauses. Assets. One of those documents, hidden right now, links back to your name in a way no one ever expected. They thought the baby would shift all attention. But it only revealed how far someone went to erase you from something meant to be yours. A will was rewritten. A name removed. But spirit recognizes spirit, and you were not forgotten. Your blessing was never taken. It was delayed until your eyes were strong enough to see what was actually happening behind the curtain. That moment is now. You're not just seeing things, you're remembering what you always felt but couldn't prove. Someone will soon try to involve you emotionally. They'll test your softness. They'll try to bait you into accepting crumbs while they eat from the table built on your back. Don't fall for it. You were never meant to kneel there. The man involved in this, the one tied to the baby, has secrets of his own. Secrets involving you. He once said your name in a moment of weakness, and that moment is now circling back like fire. He thought he had buried it. But when that child cried for the first time, the heavens heard the lie that was built to silence your worth. And now the angels are moving fast. They've seen enough. There are whispers of inheritance. land, property, accounts. Something is connected to this child that legally and spiritually should have passed through your hands. But instead, they rerouted the blessing and masked it behind a baby blanket. It won't work anymore. God is not playing games with your life. You've suffered in silence too long. You've been called dramatic. You've been made to second-guess your instincts. But now you're being given divine confirmation. You were right all along. Someone used a birth to bury a betrayal. But the truth refuses to stay buried. That child may not know it yet, but their existence is already wrapped in a storm of secrets, not by their doing, but by the choices of those around them. You are being asked to look closely, discern deeply, and protect yourself emotionally. You own no explanation. You own no attendance. You owe only obedience to what God is now showing you so clearly. There's a woman connected to this. Her hands are not clean. Her intentions were not maternal, they were manipulative. She wanted to lock the narrative so tight that you couldn't wiggle through even if you screamed. But what she didn't expect was divine interception. You were never meant to fight her with words. Heaven chose exposure instead. And now her words are crumbling from the inside out. You'll notice something soon. Her energy will shift. Her eyes won't meet yours. She'll avoid rooms where you walk in. Not because she fears you, but because the mask is slipping, and she knows you see it. This baby was her pawn. Her shield. Her weapon. But now, God has disarmed her. There will be sudden invites. Sudden outreach. Messages masked as kindness, but crafted for control. Stay sharp. This is not a time to reconnect, it's a time to reclaim. A certain photo will surface, maybe online, maybe sent directly. In that photo, something will strike your spirit. It's not about what's visible. It's what your gut says. That moment will confirm everything written in this message. There may even be someone, a friend, a mutual, a family member, who tries to explain the situation to you in casual tones. But what they're really doing is damage control. You're not meant to entertain their spin. You're meant to exit the spin cycle. You were never the villain. You were never the obstacle. You were the light that made their shadows visible. Even the place the child was born holds a clue. The timing. The number. The odd reaction people had when they told you the news. Nothing about it felt warm. That's not your imagination, that's divine discernment. Do not allow them to soften the truth by offering you a place in the baby's life now. That offer is bait. It's designed to pull you into a role that does not match the truth of what was done to you behind the scenes. This is not about revenge. This is about responsibility. Heaven is handing you the scroll of understanding, not so you can fight, but so you can walk away in power. You will see signs in threes. 3 names. 3 timestamps. 3 calls you miss in a row. That's how you'll know you're being watched over. Your spirit guides, your ancestors, even your intuition will be hyperactivated during this moment. You are being spiritually protected while the unraveling happens. The man may act calm, but his spirit is shaking. Because he knows the moment you say what you know out loud, everything will collapse. That's why they're rushing to distract you now, before you speak. But you don't have to speak. Your silence is already speaking volumes. Your presence alone is a courtroom of truth. There's still more to come. Bank statements, name connections, secrets about timelines, pregnancy dates that don't add up, overlaps, and omissions. All of that is on its way. And when it arrives, it will not come through drama, it will come through divine order. It will arrive in your lap like a feather with fire underneath. Quiet but undeniable. You are not late to this revelation. You were delayed for protection. But now that the spiritual air is clear, the truth is reaching you fully. Don't send this message to them. Don't argue. Don't explain. Just know, and move accordingly. Something is already shifting behind the scenes. Papers are being moved. People are speaking carefully. Phones are no longer left unattended, because your name is circling in conversations you haven't even heard yet. What they fear the most isn't you causing trouble, it's you finding peace. Because once you stop reacting, once you stop chasing truth and start living in it, their control collapses. You are no longer emotionally available for their manipulation. There's a phone call that was made the night the baby was born, and that call was about you. Not a prayer. Not a celebration. But a strategy, how to keep you far enough away so you never see what was written with your name on it. But heaven recorded that call. And heaven is handing it back to you in the form of divine knowing, sudden awareness, strange coincidences that are not coincidences at all. Someone recently looked up your name online, not because they missed you, but because they're afraid of you speaking up. They know the silence is cracking. They know their version of the story is rotting. And they know the child, though innocent, has brought more light than they ever expected. You are not looking for drama. But the truth has a way of pulling you toward the center even when you didn't ask for it. There's a child with your DNA somewhere in this story, whether by bloodline or by spiritual inheritance. And that child's presence is a direct challenge to the lie they built against you. The man you once trusted is holding a truth that will shock you. He thought you'd never find out. But the universe is tired of hiding what's already yours. He's made promises he can't keep. He's living in a house built on half-truths. And the pressure of this baby's arrival is exposing everything: finances, lies, relationships, timelines. There's a financial trail connecting your name and the child's future. Someone tried to cut you out. Not just from love, but from legacy. And now the pen they used to erase you is being shattered by justice itself. You were never meant to be forgotten. You were placed here to remember, to reclaim, to return. They are already talking in low tones, planning responses, preparing apologies wrapped in manipulation. Don't bite. Your strength is your awareness, not your reaction. There will be a message soon, someone saying, "Let's talk like adults." That message is a trap. They don't want the truth, they want silence. They want comfort, not confrontation. You don't owe them either. You are not the one who ran. You are not the one who lied. You are the one who was left standing in the rubble of their dishonesty, and still had the strength to smile. The child is innocent, but the world around them is not. And God is protecting you by showing you everything before they try to involve you again. A letter will show up soon, either physically or digitally. And in that letter will be a piece of the puzzle that confirms every part of your intuition. When you read it, don't cry. Don't rage. Just breathe. Because it will be the final key to a locked truth you always knew was there. The person holding that letter once said your name in anger, and now they're trying to remove every trace of that moment. But God recorded it. Spirit held it. And now it's resurfacing with divine purpose. You're not paranoid. You're prophetic. You're not emotional. You're awakened. There's an address, a location, a place they told you not to come near. That place holds part of your story, part of your destiny. And someone is panicking that you might show up there one day and see what was hidden. You don't need to physically visit. The Spirit has already walked in for you. And the truth is no longer buried under shame, it's standing in the open. A name will echo in your mind tonight. Pay attention. That name holds the answer. That name is tied to the baby, but also to something spiritual you're about to inherit. This is bigger than family drama. This is spiritual warfare wrapped in smiling faces. The woman who spoke badly about you, she's worried now. Not because she regrets what she said, but because she fears being exposed. Her lies weren't just personal. They were strategic. She told others a twisted story about you. And now those same people are beginning to see the cracks. They're starting to wonder. Why were you pushed away so fast? Why did the timeline not add up? Why does your name keep surfacing? And they're right to wonder. Because the truth always leaves footprints, and yours are finally being followed. You may soon hear someone say, "It's not what it looks like." But don't be fooled, it's exactly what it looks like. Your gut never lied to you. You were just gaslit by people who didn't want their story ruined. But you're not here to ruin, you're here to restore. And that restoration begins by walking away from anything that asks you to shrink for the sake of peace. Let them call you cold. Let them say you're distant. You don't owe warmth to the ones who froze you out. You are rising above the storm they built, and it's crumbling from below. The baby is innocent. But the lie that followed its arrival is not. And soon, someone will try to rewrite the past to make themselves look better. Do not agree. Do not smile to keep things nice. Do not pretend to forget. You are walking in truth now, and the truth doesn't shrink. God is not showing you this for entertainment. He's preparing you for elevation. And elevation always comes after separation. So separate with grace. But never again with silence. There's a house they never told you about. A place purchased in secret, hidden under another name, and linked to a bank account that you were never supposed to see. But the documents are leaking, silently, spiritually, divinely. This property, this address, it's not random. It carries the very foundation of what they tried to build without you. But they didn't realize, you were the cornerstone. Without you, the entire structure is falling in slow motion. There's a child's name connected to that house now. But what no one expected is that your name, yes, yours, appears buried in the early stages of the transaction. You weren't just cut off, you were replaced. The walls of that house carry your energy. The foundation was laid in the shadow of your absence. And now, the wind of truth is blowing through every room. This baby was not just a child, it was a diversion. While everyone was celebrating the arrival, signatures were being scribbled, titles were being transferred, and silence was being bought. You were supposed to never find out. That was the plan. To keep you distant, distracted, and dismissed. But when God says enough, silence turns to thunder. And now your spirit is hearing everything, even the parts they never said aloud. You're not imagining the signs. The repeating numbers, the tension in your chest, the sudden vivid dreams, they're all signals that the veil is lifting. There's a specific drawer, in a room you've never been allowed to enter. Inside that drawer is a letter. A photo. A printed email. Proof. Something undeniable. And soon, it will be discovered, not by you, but by someone who will bring it straight to your attention. They won't know why they're being moved to open it. But Spirit will guide their hand. And when it's revealed, every unanswered question will snap into place. You'll remember a conversation from long ago. Someone paused when you mentioned the baby. Someone blinked too long. Someone changed the subject too quickly. That was the crack. The moment the truth tried to surface, but got buried again. Now it's no longer buried. They said you were overthinking. They laughed behind closed doors. They toasted to your absence. But their celebration was short-lived. Because light does what light always does, expose. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to confront anyone. All you need is stillness. The truth is already louder than anything you could say. The man involved? He's waking up in sweat. He's pacing rooms he once controlled. Because the web of lies is tangling, and your name is still at the center of the knot. He knows he crossed a spiritual line. And heaven is no longer staying quiet. Someone will try to offer you something soon, a small piece of what you deserve. They'll frame it as a favor. A kind gesture. A way to make things right. Don't take it. It's not generosity, it's guilt in disguise. You are not meant to accept scraps. You are meant to inherit the whole truth, the full piece, and the entire portion that was stolen in silence. You won't have to ask. It will be returned. And not by them, by divine law. This child's arrival triggered a supernatural alarm. The very moment the birth happened, the timeline snapped. God allowed it, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because what you're stepping into next needs you to be clear, sharp, unshaken. And this exposure is your final lesson in discernment before the elevation hits. A voice inside you has been screaming for years. That voice is finally being heard, not just in the spirit realm, but in the physical too. People who once believed the lie are starting to question everything. They're watching you rise, and they're wondering why nothing they did broke you. Your silence was never weakness. It was power gathering in stillness. The woman who tried to destroy your name, she feels the pressure now. She'll play innocent. She'll cry. She'll claim confusion. But don't be fooled. Her hands are deep in the blueprint of this betrayal. God is dealing with her directly. You are not her judge. You are not her redeemer. You are the witness. The chosen one who was supposed to be erased, but is now the very proof that heaven cannot be mocked. There's a phrase that will echo around you soon: we didn't mean for it to go this far. That phrase is guilt speaking through trembling lips. Don't comfort it. Don't absorb it. You didn't push this story forward, they did. And now that the mirror is facing them, they want you to turn it away. But you must not. Because truth doesn't just heal, it also confronts. They hoped you'd never see the child. That if you kept your distance, they could control the narrative. But destiny has other plans. There will be a moment, sudden, silent, divine, where your path crosses the child's. And when it happens, your soul will know. You'll feel it in your bones. You'll see it in the child's eyes. A familiarity too deep to explain. And in that moment, you will realize, no lie, no manipulation, no distance, can break what God already wrote into existence.